Welcome to the Ignition News. We love to have you here, but remember to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Click that like button, that subscribe button, and leave a comment below. It's going to be a great show. Welcome to the Ignition News. Let's get busy with the truth. Good morning, and welcome to the Ignition News. It is a somber day in America today as we stand on the precipice of the unknown, a cliff of expectations, fear, and the reality that America is essentially being held hostage right now by a Congress unwilling to act, a president who seems willing to go all the way in a needless, pointless war, a Supreme Court that has enabled his every whim, and an American population, I guess, going to work, typing emails, responding to messages, while we wait to see what the president intends to do in Iran. It is a very odd day. I wish I was recording the show live today, but I do have to keep to my own commitments of self-preservation and give myself the ability to keep doing this work. And as much as I wanted to record the show live because of the news, I have to recognize that, well, we are all human and we all have limitations. In history today, before we get into the show, a couple of things that I wanted to point out because it's part of the show. In 1927, the first successful long-distance public television broadcast in the United States happened. In 1933, Prohibition begins its retreat as the Cullen-Harrison Act takes effect, legalizing the sale of beer and wine with alcohol contents up to 3.2% by weight. In 1948, the World Health Organization is established as a specialized agency of the United Nations. Its constitution came into force on this date, which is now celebrated annually to focus global attention on critical public health issues. Today is National Beer Day, probably a very fitting day for that. It is World Health Day, Metric System Day. It is International Beaver Day, by the way. And it is National No Housework Day. So while you are waiting for the end of the world, at least know that you are not expected to clean the bathroom. It is Russell Crowe's birthday. It is Francis Ford Coppola's birthday today. Jackie Chan is 72. Happy birthday to everyone. And if it's your birthday today, well, happy birthday to you as well. I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. Hey, I never said all the jokes would be good. Oh, by the way, why did the stadium get hot after the game? All of the fans left. Good morning. Welcome to the Ignition News. I do want to make a quick ask of you, which is that you please consider subscribing to the show, following us on your favorite podcast platform. Let's get into the news today. You probably are aware of what's happening, but I want to make sure that we're covering it. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, Donald Trump has promised to begin destroying Iran's bridges and power plants. As of this broadcast, the deadline is just hours away, and Iran itself has ended all talks and ended all conversations. The first story. This morning, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. He added, "I don't want that to happen, but it probably will." He then wished God bless to the great people of Iran, immediately after promising to erase them from history. The United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. Now we have the Strait of Hormuz closed, which represents roughly 20% of the world's oil supply every single day. Iran has blockaded the strait every day since day one of the war, and that chokehold is working. Brent crude is now trading above $110 a barrel. Gas at the pump in this country has crossed $4. Where I live, it's well over $5 now. It's the highest spend since 2022. Shipping through the Persian Gulf has collapsed to almost nothing. The president's response has been a series of escalating deadlines, each one declared final, each one quietly extended when nothing happened. This is now his fourth deadline, and his second this week alone. He blew past a Monday cutoff he had called just days earlier. But today is definitely different. And it's different in tone and consequence. Overnight, U.S. forces struck Karg Island again. This is a hub that processes roughly 90% of Iran's oil exports. Israel simultaneously issued warnings to Iranians to avoid trains and railway lines, and then struck a railway bridge near Khasan, killing at least 2 people. A university in Tehran was bombed this week. an elementary school earlier in the war. We know that that killed approximately 170 children, and we have been attacking healthcare facilities, which have been heavily damaged. And a synagogue in Tehran was, according to Iranian media, completely destroyed by a US and Israel strike. According to Politico, the Pentagon is now revising its target list to include energy facilities that serve both military and civilian populations, explicitly to provide legal cover against war crimes accusations. This administration is actively constructing a paper shield to justify hitting civilian infrastructure. Human rights experts and the head of formal Human Rights Watch said Trump is openly threatening the collective punishment of civilians, which is a violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention. Threatening to carry out a war crime is itself potentially a war crime under international humanitarian law. When a reporter asked Trump if he was concerned about committing a war crime, he said, "Nope, I don't have to do it." Oh, I'm sorry. He said, "Nope, I hope I don't have to do it." Wow, that's actually much worse. Jesus. This is the person holding the nuclear codes tonight. And there is outrage in the MAGA community. MTG, Alex Jones, and even Tucker Carlson have called for Trump's removal from office under the 25th Amendment. JB Pritzker has done the same, and now, as of the time of this recording, Ro Khanna has also openly called for the removal of the president under the 25th Amendment. And I have to tell you, I am cynical, but I do feel something dramatic shifting right now. And if this continues to escalate with no off ramp, I do think we will find ourselves in a position where the elected officials in this country will have to make the ultimate moral choice of our lifetime. Do they allow the president and Pete Hegseth to utilize nuclear force against a country, against civilians, to accomplish the end of a war that we did not have to begin with? Or do they sit quietly on the sides and be remembered for the rest of history as politicians who enabled a mass genocide? This could not be any more serious. I find myself very somber, very quiet today, as I, unlike many people who constantly tell you, "Oh, don't worry, the president can't do this. Don't worry, the president can't do this. Don't worry, the president can't do this." They have removed or fired everyone who could stop this person. They have installed loyalists. See, I'm having even difficulty talking this morning. They have installed loyalists at the Pentagon, and they have removed everyone or fired them if they had any choice at all of getting in the way. They fired lawyers in the military whose job it was to determine if orders were illegal. And now we are left in this precarious moment where this war has clearly failed. And they have no way out other than escalation. And they have ramped up the escalation rhetoric to a point that is very difficult to back down from. And this is not a president who backs down from failure. This is a president who tries to paint a different picture entirely. And I am concerned, very concerned. But I do think that there are elected officials who do realize that this is the ultimate moral test of their lifetime. If the president really intends to use some kind of mass casualty military operation attacking civilian infrastructure, I do think there are enough people who might look at this now at this moment and say, we have to stop this. We have to invoke the 25th Amendment, or we have to consider impeaching the president. Here's the diplomatic picture. Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey have been working as mediators between Washington and Tehran. Over the weekend, they drafted a proposal calling for a 45-day ceasefire and reopening the strait. It was sent to both sides Sunday nights. Iran rejected it Monday, and they said its position was clear. It wants a permanent end to the war with guarantees of no future attacks, reconstruction funding, and sanctions relief. Iran's representative in Cairo said it bluntly. "We only accept an end to the war with guarantees we won't be attacked again." Iran said it no longer trusts the Trump administration after the U.S. bombed the country twice during previous rounds of negotiations. That detail is worth sitting with. The United States launched airstrikes on Iran while talks were happening. They expected Iran to keep talking. The Bloomberg and The Independent have both cited that Iran has now cut off direct back channel with the United States following this civilization threat this morning. Mediators reportedly told the White House they are still working to amend proposals, but warned Iranian decision-making is slow and an extension may be necessary. One U.S. administration told Axios, and I want to quote this carefully, "Trump is the most bloodthirsty person in the top echelons of his own administration on Iran." The source called him, quote, "like a mad dog," and stories blaming Hegseth or Rubio for pushing the escalation are misleading. The IRGC warned this morning that if civilian targets are struck, it will deprive the United States and its allies in the region oil and gas for years and expand its attacks on the Gulf. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the UAE and Kuwait have all been intercepting Iranian missiles and drones. The King Fahd Causeway between Saudi Arabia and Bahrain was temporarily closed after Iranian strikes. Gulf nations that host U.S. military bases are now privately begging Washington to back down because they know they will pay the price for whatever Trump does next. Iran's government has called on all young people, athletes, artists, students, and professors to form human chains around power plants ahead of tonight's threatened strikes. 14 million Iranians have reportedly volunteered to fight. The Iranian president said publicly, "I too remain ready to give my life for Iran." And this is the state of diplomacy. This is the moment we find ourselves in. There is no deal. There is no ceasefire. We have a deadline that is just a few hours away, and a president who has told us he thinks it will probably end in the destruction of an entire civilization. The chances of an agreement by tonight's deadline are slim, if not impossible. We stand on the precipice of something truly dangerous. And as much as I wanted to have some kind of inspirational thought, I think I would just inform you of what happens when all this chaos rains down from Washington, is that your government locally falls apart as well. And I want to highlight how that's happening, how a lack of oversight in our federal government is literally killing people in ways that you might not even normally imagine. My example of that is actually police car chases. I want to talk about something happening on the roads closer to your house. Last Friday night in Pike County, Alabama, a state trooper initiated pursuit of a 2022 Hyundai Elantra on a rural road. The car went off the road and hit a tree. Now 4 people are dead. That driver, 27-year-old Tevekius Rusa, and 3 other passengers are all dead. Authorities have not yet said what prompted the chase. 3 of the 4 victims were not wearing seatbelts and were ejected. The 4th was not ejected but died on the scene regardless. And this is not an isolated incident. In less than 1 week, police pursuits across the United States have killed at least 8 people, 4 in Alabama, 1 in Texas, 3 in California. That is 8 people dead in vehicle chases in fewer than 7 days, more than 1 person per day. A 2023 report from the Police Executive Research Forum, a national think tank on policing standards, called on departments to restrict pursuits to cases that were not related to violent crimes. That has not been widely adopted. And so people keep dying on rural Alabama roads at midnight, and the pursuits keep getting logged as a statistic. The victims and their families get reduced to incident reports with no stated cause for the chase to begin in the first place. When we have dismantled the power of the federal government, everything else unravels with it as well. We don't know why that trooper was chasing the car in Alabama. Alabama's law enforcement refuses to say, but we do know that 4 people are dead, including a teenager, and this keeps happening across the country every single week. Because our government is unable to deal with even the most serious matters, everything else cascades and unravels in front of us. Tonight, a president of the United States may order strikes that legal experts say could constitute war crimes against a civilian population. He himself has said that it probably will happen, and he said that he's not worried about it. The institutions that are supposed to be checks on his power are quiet. Our allies are quietly begging the president to stop this. The people that will bear the consequences of this are civilians who did not choose this war, and the American people may have to bear the moral weight of a terrible decision that they did not want. In Alabama, a teenager is dead because of a car chase that no official will explain. The system that is supposed to account for death will log it, file it, and it will move on. Somehow in all of this, we have lost sight of each person's individual life story. Yesterday, I took the day off and I went with my family to a movie. It's been a long time since we had the chance to spend some time together like that. And we went to see the movie Project Hail Mary, which incidentally was an incredible movie, and it was full of its own emotional roller coaster moments that really, I think, highlighted a couple of things, but I'll just say it was a great movie and I highly recommend you seeing it. It's funny to think that going to a movie with your family is this big, big moment, but at the end of that movie, for some reason, there's this thing in the movie where Rocky, the alien character, hugs Ryan Gosling's character, and it's like a funny bit in the movie. And at the end of walking out of the theater, when we got up, I just had this incredible urge to like hug my wife and my son in the middle of the theater and just like soak in that moment, just a couple of seconds of love and joy. And I really just like, I just like stood there and I just like breathed in all of that love from those two who I love deeply. And I have to remember, and you have to remember, that around this planet, billions of people have those little tiny 3 seconds of life all day long, 24 hours a day, whether they are breathing, sleeping, eating, having fun, arguing. They have these beautiful, short lives. We are all human beings with stories and memories, moms, dads, pets. We all have the ability to love deeply, to experience deeply, to feel pain, to feel joy, to feel sorrow, to feel happiness, and to remember, but most importantly, to experience life. We have a president of the United States openly dismissing the stories of those millions of people, those little 3 seconds of joy. But I want to close and I want to tell you that I do see them. I see you, rather selfishly. I see myself, my family, and I understand well the cost of these horrible decisions. One life lost in these situations is too much, whether that is a child on a road in Alabama or a child in a school in Iran. We like to think that strength is military power and missiles and might and ships and planes. But real strength in this time, in this moment, is realizing that we are all just really on a floating rock with a little bit of water hurtling through space. It is impractical, if not impossible, that we should be breathing air, living, experiencing, feeling the sun, and loving each other. And yet, we are here nonetheless. So whether you believe in God or science or both, I choose to believe in humanity. I choose to be on the side of morality, whatever that morality means, whether religious, textual. I do not support this. I believe the president should be removed from office. I believe we should invoke the 25th or we should call for impeachment. And I will judge you if you are an elected member of Congress or the Senate, or if you're the dog catcher in my community. All of you should be saying the same thing, whether you are a city commissioner or whether you are a senator. This president has gone too far. It is too dangerous. It doesn't have to be this way. We're just a few hours away from finding out if once again this president will chicken out or if innocent human beings will be put at risk with your tax dollars. I think we're tired of pretending like we don't have a say in this. We do. And I say enough is enough. Thank you for tuning into the Ignition News. Hopefully tomorrow's show, which will be recorded live, will be better news. But for now, I'm thinking about you, your family, your loved ones, and hoping that you find a moment to hug someone you care about. This is April 7th, 2026. Stay lit. This has been today's episode of The Ignition News. Please consider following us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Substack. We're here to deliver to you unfiltered, uncensored news. Let's get busy with the truth on The Ignition News.